Hello and a big welcome back to all my subscribers. And if you're not a subscriber, what's wrong with you? Right. So some progress been made on the UART. It's actually a DUART. So this is all now wired up. And I have a 6-pin serial and a 9-pin serial connection. Both of them going into my PC through these sort of rather complicated messes. And then I have my logic analyzer slash Raspberry Pico that I use for that. I did the wiring and it appears to be completely successful, and then I've spent the week messing around with software. Now, one of the problems that I had is that the DUART setup, it's for 2 serial ports, not just the one. So a lot of the code I had to rewrite so that it addressed both channel A and channel B. This is channel A, the 9 port, and the channel B is the 6 port serial. So they both have their own TX and RX. They all have their own write enable, read enable, all that sort of good stuff. So all that got wired up. And then I did the pin assignments. Now, I think realistically, the only thing left to wire up is this VIA chip, because just about everything else will go through the VIA chip. So so from now on, I'm not wiring anything into the address or the data bus of the CPU. It's all going to go into the VIA chip. So I just need to get the UART working. It appears to be working, but I'll get into that a bit later. So the logic analyzer has been a big help here in trying to work out what was going on. But my biggest problem actually was not the DUART or the DUART code, because I rewrote that and that was fairly straightforward. The actual problem I had getting the thing to work was my linker script. Now let me just show you this. The problem I had was I did not have these memory mapped IOs defined. Now, normally, if you're writing code on a Windows machine or a Mac or a Linux or a Raspberry Pi or an Arduino or whatever, the compiler has a default linker script that it uses. Now, because I'm delving into the sort of embedded world, really, there is no defined map for this thing that I've built, and so I've had to make it. Now, this was a fairly significant detour into working out how the linker script needed to work to get this thing to allocate the stack properly and then memory map the things to the correct positions. So I did eventually get the UART to go. Now I realize this could be a lot less, 64 kilobytes realistically, but I just made everything 1 meg because quite honestly I didn't care. It's just putting a switch, or rather flipping a switch effectively on the multiplexer when it accesses this. So this byte here, actually just changes the multiplexer. So it's largely irrelevant what I stick in there and where I put it in. So I can put in additional memory mapped IO later. But honestly, this was the largest chunk of problematic issues that I had. Now, with the bootloader, I have loaded all of the various exception editor exceptions and all of that, and bus errors and memory address errors, and then created a catch-all that basically holds the CPU. Then I've got some messages defined, and then I've been attempting to send things via the channel to the PC. So I'm trying to get my serial connection working. This is actually channel A, not B. So channel A is 0, and then you basically, there's a UART function called select channel. I'll just quickly show you that code. So the select channel just looks for what is in D1, and then it uses that to set the base. So it communicates with the DUART, tells it what channel needs to be used, and then sets the whole thing up. Now, I suspect my problem is the baud rate, and I need to change that, but I'm not going to cover that in this this video. But basically, I select channel A, I call the select channel, and then I go into receive byte, and basically I sit here waiting for a queue to appear. And now nothing happens at this point. So it basically effectively sits here in a sort of a loop. Now if I show you, if you look just above here, this is my minicom. So although I'm pressing the reset button and things are happening, nothing is happening on this screen. So if we jump back here, you can see that it is doing things. It is trying to receive data or send data. It's trying to do stuff, but nothing's happening. So if we flip back to the screen, you can see that nothing happens here. I can press my keyboard until I'm blue in the face and nothing will happen at all. So anyway, that's where I'm at the moment. It's not working, basically. It appears to be working, but I can't actually tell. So when I look at the traces for some of this stuff, you know, there are events happening, and I'm just basically trying to run this down and try and work out what is going on with this thing, and you know, what do I do to get it up to speed, really. So that's it really for the for what I've been doing. The main problem, as I say, has been the linker script and not knowing what I should have put in here, and so the learning curve here was quite steep. Now this is what I'm doing this project for, is to learn, so I'm not complaining about having a learning curve here, and I learned a lot about linker scripts, and in fact didn't even realize that every compiler has it and that it's using the defaults normally. And I've been doing this stuff for years and years and years, writing code on all sorts of programs, and had not realized that it was just using a default linker script. And that in fact, you know, if you're doing embedded programming, you're going to need to worry about this sort of stuff. The other thing I've learned recently is the importance of reading data sheets thoroughly, especially the DUART, the SCC2692 is the one I'm using. So reading the data sheets is really important. This logic analyzer has been a godsend. It really has been useful to show me what is going on and what is going wrong and what I need to do. So I'm quite pleased, really, with the you know, El Cheapo Pico logic analyzer that I'm using. So if you need a logic analyzer, I highly recommend it. It's really good. So my next step really is to get the UART library robust and does error handling and actually works. I'm also spending a lot of time troubleshooting the hardware, so I need to work out why the Minicom is not responding on either of these ports, and I suspect it's just the baud rate that I've put in the code, and the baud rate that it is expecting. Now, this is another thing I need to read the datasheet to work out if I'm actually setting the baud rate properly. If I just flip back here, where is it? That's me in the other code. Just trying to find out where I set the yeah, it's in the UART init. So in this init portion, I'm setting up the baud rate, and it's based on my clock rate. So the clock rate on this machine is 8 megahertz. So I'm not 100% sure that I've got the timing correct on this and that I've got the baud rate set properly. So I suspect this is my issue. A lot of my issue is going to be around the baud rate setting, and I'm not really sure that I'm doing it properly. So I'm going to have to work my way through this bit by bit until I can start to see some characters on the screen up here in the Minicom area to know that this thing is actually sending information back and forward to the DUART. Now, if anybody has any experience on this sort of stuff, I'd really be happy to know what your experience is, and if you got any tips or suggestions for me to try and work my way through this, that would be greatly appreciated. Hopefully in the next video I will actually be able to show you some interaction with this homebrew computer via a serial port, either channel A or channel B, or maybe even both. But at the moment it's just a case of troubleshooting, logic analyzer, and just trying to figure out where I'm at and making sure all the pins were linked up correctly, etc. So that's it from me this week. I hope you enjoy this video. I know there's not a lot that's happened. It seems like every time I get a step forward, I take 2 steps back. But, you know, it's a learning curve, and I'm learning a lot all the time, and this is the reason I'm documenting this, is just to show, you know, how I learned things and how I did it, and what the process was that I went through. So if anybody else wants to do it, you can have a go yourself. As I say, it's not a tutorial, it's just me recording what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and the problems and issues and faults and failures that I run up against. So if you like this sort of video, please like and subscribe and all that good YouTube jazz. I don't have a Patreon or any of that gubbins, and yeah, so share the video around if you know somebody that might like this type of retro computer activity. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.